The last bell of the day echoed through the halls of Willow Creek Elementary, and like a tidal wave of backpacks and sneakers, students flooded out into the warm spring afternoon. Emma Thompson lingered near the gate, kicking a pebble with her shoe as she waited for the crowd to thin. Today wasn't just any Thursday. It was her first time walking home alone. A tiny milestone, but one that made her feel older, braver. Her mother had hesitated, hovering over the decision like a helicopter mom on low fuel. But Emma had begged, promised she'd stick to the usual sidewalk, cross at the lights, and text when she arrived home. So here she was, free. The air smelled like blooming dandelions and the faint whiff of distant lawnmowers. Her pink sneakers slapped the pavement with an eager rhythm. She didn't take the fastest route, of course. Emma liked to explore. Not the dangerous kind of exploring. Not alleyways or abandoned buildings, but the kind where she found secret places adults overlooked, like the crooked tree stump that held shiny rocks in its roots, or the old lot near Briarwood Drive that was supposed to be turned into condos 5 years ago, but just sat there, forgotten. She was halfway past that lot when she heard it. A sound. Soft, strange, like a mix between a whine and a sob. Emma stopped mid-step, turning her head slightly. There it was again, a whimper. She glanced toward the fence. The lot had been blocked off with warped wooden panels, nailed together hastily. A few planks leaned at odd angles, weathered gray by rain and sun. Weeds curled along the edges, hiding candy wrappers and bottle caps in their tangled green. "Hello," she called, half expecting a cat to pop out. Silence. Then, the whimpering returned. Closer. More urgent. Emma's curiosity overpowered her caution. She tiptoed toward the fence and peeked through a wide knot in the wood. Her breath caught. There, hunched among the weeds and patches of bare dirt, was a small dog. It looked like a terrier mix. Fur matted and dirty, ribs faintly visible beneath its scruffy coat. One ear was torn at the edge. But what hit Emma hardest were its eyes. Big, watery, and locked onto hers. It didn't bark, didn't growl. Just stared, panting quietly. Emma's heart tugged in her chest. She adored animals. Her room was filled with dog posters, and she had a well-worn animal rescue book beside her bed. She glanced around. No adults. No collar on the dog. It looked lost, or worse. The wooden panel next to her wobbled when she leaned against it, just wide enough for her to squeeze through. She hesitated, remembering her mom's voice. "Don't go into strange places alone." But the dog whimpered again. Something about the way it stayed so still bothered her. She pushed the panel open and slipped inside. The lot was quiet, except for the wind stirring through brittle grass. The dog didn't move as she approached, just watched her with those wide, haunted eyes. Emma knelt slowly, reaching into her backpack. She had half a granola bar left. "Hey, boy. Girl. It's okay," she whispered, voice shaking slightly. "I won't hurt you." She held out the food, inching closer. The dog still didn't move. That's when she noticed it. It wasn't just crouching. It was guarding something. And whatever it was buried in the dirt. Emma's heart pounded as she edged deeper into the overgrown lot, the granola bar clutched loosely in one hand. The dog remained frozen, its body pressed close to the ground like it was shielding something precious or terrifying. The dirt beneath the dog looked disturbed, uneven as if something had been buried recently, but Emma pushed the thought aside. She needed to focus on the dog first. "Hey there, buddy," she murmured softly, kneeling slowly, careful not to scare it away. The terrier mixed eyes flicked to her, then back down to the ground, wide and glassy with pain or fear. Its ribs poked sharply beneath a tangled coat that had clearly never felt a bath. Emma's stomach twisted. The dog was starving. She peeled off a small piece of granola bar and extended it. The dog's nose twitched, a hesitant step forward. Emma's breath caught. Then another. Closer. Closer. The dog sniffed the offering, then suddenly backed away with a low whimper, its gaze darting nervously toward the ground again. Emma frowned. Something was wrong. "What is it, boy?" she whispered. "What are you scared of?" The dog's body stiffened, tail tucked low. It gave a soft growl, not angry, but protective, and its eyes locked onto the dirt beneath its paws. Emma leaned in, squinting to see what had the dog so unnerved. The earth had a strange, sickly smell, a sharp metallic tang mixed with damp soil. The ground was uneven, as if something large had been covered hastily. Emma's fingers brushed a loose clump of dirt, and suddenly a cold, heavy feeling crawled up her spine. She wanted to run, to yell, to get away, but something rooted her to the spot. Her eyes scanned the patch beneath the dog more carefully. Then she saw it, a pale shape partially hidden under a thin layer of earth. Her breath hitched. It was the edge of a hand. A human hand. Emma's mouth went dry. Her heart slammed so loudly, she was sure the dog could hear it. The dog was not just scared. It was guarding something that was very, very wrong. She took a small step back, but the dog shifted with her, pressing its body closer to the ground, as if to shield the buried figure from discovery. Its eyes, full of pleading, locked with Emma's, begging her to understand. Emma swallowed hard. She wanted to call for help, but remembered her mom's warnings. No strangers, no sudden moves, stay safe. And yet, the instinct to help burned inside her stronger than fear. She looked around. The lot was empty, silent except for the breeze rattling through broken glass and scraps of paper. No one else was nearby. Her fingers trembled as she reached for her phone to call 911, but hesitated. If I call, will someone come? Will they believe me? She wondered. The dog whimpered again, its gaze flicking anxiously between the hand and Emma. Gathering courage, Emma knelt down once more, this time gently stroking the dog's fur. "I'm going to help you," she whispered. The dog relaxed slightly but didn't move away from the ground. Emma studied the scene again, piecing together what had happened here. Someone had been buried, quickly, maybe even recently, and the dog had stayed with them, guarding them from harm, alone in the weeds. Her mind raced. Was the person hurt? Dead? Why was this hidden here? Suddenly, distant footsteps echoed from the street. Emma froze. Panic surged through her veins. She scrambled back toward the fence and squeezed through the loose panel, clutching the granola bar. The dog's sad eyes burned into her memory. Outside, she paused, heart hammering in her chest. She had to tell someone. But who would believe a little girl with a story so unbelievable it sounded like a nightmare? Emma's fingers trembled as she slipped through the loose panel and back onto the cracked sidewalk. The dog remained crouched behind her, eyes wide and watchful, as if weighing whether to trust her or vanish forever. The sun was dipping low now, shadows stretching long and thin across the street. Her chest heaved with nervous breaths. She had to act fast. Across the street, the old Jenkins house sat quiet and dark, the curtains drawn tight against prying eyes. Emma knew Mr. Jenkins was home. She had seen his truck parked there every afternoon on her way past. She picked up her pace, hoping he'd answer the door. Her knock was tentative at first, barely louder than a whisper. Then again, louder this time. No response. A chill ran down her spine. Was he away? Was she too late? Emma's eyes darted to the street. The dog whimpered softly and nudged her leg. She glanced down and saw the faintest spark of hope in its gaze. It was almost like the dog was telling her, "Don't give up." Heart pounding, Emma tried the door handle. It was unlocked. The door creaked open on silent hinges, revealing the dim, musty hallway. The smell of old wood and dust hit her like a wave. "Hello," she called softly, stepping inside. No answer. Emma's small feet shuffled across the floorboards, the dog padding silently at her side. She noticed a flicker of movement upstairs, a shadow crossing the landing. Then silence again. Just as she was about to call out again, the front door slammed shut behind her. Emma jumped, spinning around. The dog growled, low and warning, its body stiffening. Suddenly, a voice called from the stairwell. "Emma, is that you?" It was a woman's voice. Familiar, warm. Emma exhaled, relief flooding through her veins. "Mrs. Jenkins," she called back. "I need help. There's a dog in the lot behind the fence, and there's something buried there. I think someone's hurt." Within moments, the heavy footsteps of Mrs. Jenkins came thundering down the stairs. A tall woman in her 50s, with kind eyes and a sturdy frame, met Emma at the door. "What is it, dear?" Mrs. Jenkins asked, concern knitting her brow. Emma hurriedly explained, her words tumbling out in a breathless rush. "There's a dog, and it's scared. It won't leave this one spot in the dirt. I think someone's buried there. I saw a hand, Mrs. Jenkins." Mrs. Jenkins's eyes widened. "A hand? Emma, we have to call the police." Emma nodded fiercely, grateful for the adult who believed her. Mrs. Jenkins pulled out her phone. "Stay here," she said, stepping onto the porch to make the call. Emma sat on the worn wooden steps, the dog settling close beside her, its body still tense but less fearful now. The dog leaned against her leg, its ragged fur brushing her jeans, as if thanking her silently. Minutes later, the distant wail of sirens sliced through the evening air. Emma felt a wave of emotions, fear, hope, and a strange sense of responsibility. She was just a little girl, but right now, she was part of something much bigger. The officers arrived quickly, flashing badges and urgent voices filling the quiet street. They crouched down with flashlights, carefully inspecting the disturbed earth and the dog guarding it. One officer gently took the dog's collar, soothing it with soft words. Another started digging carefully at the spot Emma had pointed out. Emma watched with wide eyes, the weight of what she had found settling deeper in her chest. The dog whined softly, its eyes flicking between the officers and Emma. The moment felt like a turning point. The quiet lot, the trembling dog, the buried secret, everything was finally coming to light. Emma knew her life had changed forever. The officers worked quickly but carefully, their flashlights cutting through the dusk as the earth slowly gave way beneath their shovels. Emma stood nearby, heart pounding, the dog, now gently cradled by one of the officers, watching her with big, tired eyes. The neighborhood had grown quiet again, but the weight in the air was heavy, as if the entire street held its breath. Emma's mind raced. How could something so terrible be hidden right under her feet? The dog had been protecting something, but what? And why? The lead officer, a tall man with a deep voice and calm demeanor, motioned to Emma. "Did you see anything else? Anything that might help us?" Emma nodded slowly. "The dog, it wouldn't move from one spot, and when I looked closer, I saw a hand." The officer's expression tightened, then softened with reassurance. "You did the right thing telling us. We'll take it from here." But Emma couldn't shake the uneasy feeling curling in her stomach. The dog had seemed scared, but it hadn't been afraid of her. It had been afraid of what was buried beneath it. Suddenly, as the officers unearthed the remains, Emma noticed something unusual. The dirt around the body wasn't just loose soil. It had faint marks, as if something heavy had been dragged there. And nearby, partially covered by fallen leaves, was a small, torn piece of fabric, bright red. Emma's breath caught. The fabric looked familiar, like something she'd seen before. Her mind flashed back to a missing persons report she had overheard her parents discussing the night before, a young woman named Sarah who had disappeared from town nearly a week ago. Sarah had worn a red jacket the day she vanished. Could this be her? Emma's pulse quickened. She felt the weight of the moment settle on her shoulders. The mystery was bigger than she'd imagined. This wasn't just a lost dog or an injured animal. It was something darker. One of the officers carefully lifted the dog, placing it gently in a blanket. "We're going to take this brave dog to a vet for a checkup. It looks like he's been through a lot." The dog gave a weak wag of its tail, a faint spark of trust in its eyes. Emma watched as the team moved with urgent purpose, cordoning off the lot with bright yellow tape. Neighbors began to gather across the street, whispering in hushed tones, their faces etched with shock and curiosity. Emma felt a tug on her sleeve. It was Mrs. Jenkins. "Sweetheart, you did good today. You helped save someone," she said softly, pulling Emma into a gentle hug. Emma nodded but didn't speak. The image of that pale hand beneath the dirt burned in her mind. She felt a strange connection to the dog, and the mystery unfolding, like she had stumbled into a story far bigger than her own life. As the night deepened, Emma's parents arrived, their faces pale with worry and relief. They pulled her into a tight embrace, whispering thanks and promises of safety. But Emma's thoughts were already racing ahead. Who was the woman in the ground? Why had she been buried here? And what secrets did the dog hold? She knew she wouldn't rest until she uncovered the whole truth. The flashing red and blue lights bathed the quiet street in an eerie glow as neighbors gathered behind the yellow police tape, their faces etched with shock and disbelief. Whispers spread like wildfire. Emma's small figure stood near the edge of the crowd, clutching her mother's hand tightly. She couldn't tear her eyes away from the open patch of dirt where the officers worked swiftly. Then came the sound. A scream. Raw, piercing, and chilling. It erupted from the mouth of a woman standing near the lot, her face pale and twisted in horror. She staggered back, hand covering her mouth, tears streaming down her cheeks. The crowd gasped, some shielding their eyes. Emma's mother tightened her grip on Emma's hand. "It's going to be okay, honey," she whispered, though her own voice trembled. Emma glanced at the dog, now wrapped in a blanket and lying quietly on a nearby stretcher. Its eyes were tired but alert, still guarding something invisible only Emma seemed to sense. An officer approached, kneeling beside Emma. "You did a brave thing, young lady," he said kindly. "Because of you, we found her." Emma's throat tightened. Her. The woman buried in the lot. "She's been missing for days. We think it's Sarah Martin." Emma's mind flashed to the torn red jacket she'd seen buried near the body. The crowd murmured again, the reality sinking in. An ambulance arrived, paramedics stepping carefully over the uneven ground. They worked silently, covering the body with respect, even though the grim nature of the discovery hung heavy in the air. Emma felt a sudden wave of nausea and fear. She took a shaky breath and turned away, blinking back tears. How had this happened right here, so close to home? Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft whimper. The dog lifted its head, eyes meeting Emma's with a quiet pleading. Emma crouched beside it, running her fingers gently through its dirty fur. "It's okay, Shadow," she whispered, using the name she'd given the dog. "You're safe now." The dog's tail gave a weak wag. Suddenly, Emma's scream echoed through her mind, the one she had let out when she first saw the pale hand buried in the earth. That scream had shaken the block, but it had also started a chain of events that would change everything. As officers began to interview neighbors and canvass the area, Emma's parents pulled her close, shielding her from the swirling questions and cameras. Later, at home, Emma lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The shadows from her nightlight danced across her walls, but sleep would not come. She kept thinking about Sarah, about the dog's fierce loyalty, and about the secret buried in the dirt. Emma realized that sometimes even the smallest voice could uncover the darkest secrets, and she was ready to keep listening. The next morning, the neighborhood buzzed with a mixture of curiosity and unease. News crews had arrived early, their cameras and microphones a stark contrast to the quiet innocence of the street. Emma tried to keep her head down as she walked to school, Shadow trotting faithfully beside her on a leash Mrs. Jenkins had given. The dog's presence was both comforting and a constant reminder of the night's terrifying discovery. At school, whispers followed Emma like a shadow. Some kids stared openly, others kept their distance. Emma felt awkward, caught between pride for what she'd done and the fear of what she had uncovered. During recess, Emma found herself sitting beneath the big oak tree, sketching Shadow in her notebook. The dog had a scruffy charm, with those deep, soulful eyes that seemed to hold stories Emma couldn't yet understand. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Hey, Emma," said Mia, a classmate known for her curiosity and kindness. "I saw the news. That was really brave of you." Emma looked up, managing a small smile. "Thanks. It was scary." Mia sat down beside her. "Do you think there's more to the story? I mean, why would someone bury Sarah here? And why was the dog guarding her?" Emma shrugged. "I don't know. But Shadow was scared of something. Not me, not the police. Something else." The conversation sparked a new determination in Emma. She wasn't just a kid who stumbled on a secret. She was part of a story that needed answers. That afternoon, Emma's parents sat her down for a serious talk. "Sweetheart," her mother said gently, "the police are asking questions, and we want you to be careful. Sometimes things aren't as simple as they seem." Emma nodded, understanding the unspoken warning. But the mystery pulled at her. After dinner, Emma sat in her room, writing in her journal. She detailed everything: the dog's behavior, the torn red fabric, the look in Shadow's eyes. Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft scratching at the window. She looked up, heart skipping a beat. There outside stood a figure cloaked in shadow. Emma froze, eyes wide. The figure raised a hand in a slow wave before disappearing into the night. Emma's pulse raced. Was it someone watching her? Someone connected to the mystery? She glanced at Shadow, who growled softly, ears perked. Emma realized the discovery was just the beginning. The Shadow's hiding secrets weren't done yet. And neither was she. Emma couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching her. The shadowy figure at her window haunted her thoughts long after it disappeared into the dark. She stayed awake for hours, clutching her journal and listening for any sound. Morning sunlight brought a fragile sense of safety, but the mystery was far from over. That afternoon, just as Emma was getting ready to leave for Mrs. Jenkins's house, there was a soft knock at her front door. Her parents exchanged worried glances before Emma's mother opened it cautiously. Standing on the doorstep was a tall man, his clothes worn but neat. His eyes were sharp and serious, but there was a hint of kindness beneath the guarded expression. "Are you Emma Thompson?" he asked. Emma nodded slowly, gripping the strap of her backpack. "My name is Detective Harris," he said. "I'm working on the case involving Sarah Martin." Emma's heart pounded. "What do you want to know?" Detective Harris stepped inside, glancing around the cozy living room. "I understand you found the dog and the spot where Sarah was buried. That was very brave of you." Emma felt a mix of pride and fear. "Thank you." The dog, Shadow, he seemed scared of something, like he was protecting her. The detective nodded thoughtfully. "That's unusual behavior for a dog. Have you noticed anything else? Anything strange since then?" Emma thought for a moment. "Last night, someone was outside my window. I saw a shadow. They waved and then disappeared." Detective Harris's eyes narrowed. "Did you get a good look?" "No," Emma admitted. "It was too dark." He sighed. "This case is more complicated than it first appeared. Sarah was involved in something risky before she disappeared. Something she didn't tell anyone about." Emma's stomach twisted. What kind of something? "That's what we're trying to find out." The detective stood, looking serious. "I want you to be careful, Emma. Sometimes, people who want to keep secrets hidden can be dangerous." Emma swallowed hard but nodded. "I want to help. I want to know the truth." Detective Harris smiled faintly. "Good, but promise me you'll tell your parents before you do anything risky." Emma agreed, her mind already racing with questions and ideas. Later, at Mrs. Jenkins's, Emma and Shadow sat in the garden, trying to piece together the clues. The dog rested his head on Emma's knee, sensing her tension. Emma pulled out her journal. Sarah's red jacket, the marks on the ground. I think someone didn't want us to find her." Mrs. Jenkins nodded solemnly. "Sometimes the darkest secrets hide where we least expect." Emma looked at Shadow and made a silent promise. She would uncover the truth, no matter what it took. As the sun set, a chill crept through the air, and Emma knew this was only the beginning. The days that followed were a whirlwind. Police questions, whispered rumors, and the steady presence of Shadow, who had become Emma's loyal companion. The dog's once frightened eyes now seemed calmer, as if the truth being uncovered was easing his burden. Detective Harris returned frequently, each visit peeling back another layer of the mystery. Emma learned that Sarah had been caught in a dangerous situation, something involving someone close to the neighborhood, someone who didn't want her story told. One afternoon, as Emma sat with Mrs. Jenkins in the garden, her phone buzzed with a message from the detective. "We've found new evidence. Can you come to the station?" Emma's heart pounded as she told her parents, who agreed to take her. At the police station, Detective Harris showed Emma a small, crumpled photo found in Sarah's belongings. It was of a man, someone from the neighborhood, with a stern face and cold eyes. "We believe he's connected to Sarah's disappearance." Emma stared at the photo, feeling a mix of fear and determination. This was the breakthrough they needed. Back home, Emma looked at Shadow, who lay quietly by her feet. She whispered, "We're almost there, buddy. We're going to get justice for Sarah." The investigation soon led to the man's arrest. Under questioning, he confessed to trying to silence Sarah because she had uncovered his illegal activities. It was a shocking revelation for the peaceful neighborhood. Emma's courage had helped bring light to a dark secret. At a small community gathering, neighbors thanked Emma and Shadow. Mrs. Jenkins hugged her tightly. "You saved us all." That night, Emma sat by her window. The quiet street bathed in moonlight. Shadow rested his head on her lap, peaceful for the first time in weeks. Emma smiled softly, knowing she had made a difference. Sometimes, even the smallest voice could change everything. And sometimes, the bravest hearts came in the smallest packages.